Welcome back to another episode of the Sustainable Studio series. I'm Poornima, the CEO and founder of BizeeBee. I know you're very passionate about your business, but you need to balance pursuing your passion with some business intelligence. Since many of you are very busy building, I've come up with the Sustainable Studio series. In this video series, we will explore one suggestion every week to help you build a sustainable studio business. Even if you're a private instructor, you don't have to worry. You can make use of a lot of these suggestions, and they'll help you to build a sustainable business. In the last episode, I talked about how a business owner, you'll want to put a system in place to save you time and keep you sane. This week, we'll dig into the first part of that several series of systems that you need to put in place. This week, we'll talk about the basics of financial tracking. Keep in mind that your system is going to become a lot more complex over time and more sophisticated as your business grows. But what I want to focus on are what are the fundamentals that you need to put in place to get your business off the ground. So, there are three things that you must absolutely have in a financial system. Now, the first is a task for you, which is separating your personal finances from your business finances. I cannot emphasize this enough. Too often, people mix their personal with their business, and then at the end of the year, they're spending hours upon hours trying to figure out which money belongs to which account. It becomes a nightmare when it comes to reporting your taxes, and it also makes it very hard on accountants and bookkeepers. So save yourself the hassle and just sign up for a credit card and a bank account and have it in your business name. Of course, before you do this, make sure that you read the fine print and that there are no annual fees, and maybe that you get some sort of perks like rewards or cash back. Now, the second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put a system in place to track both your expenses as well as your income. So what are expenses that you want to track? Well, there's two buckets. There's fixed costs, such as the rent that you're going to be paying on your studio, and any sort of yearly insurance you might have to run your business. And then there are variable costs, like a marketing budget or gas that you might be paying in order to commute between your house and your studio. And then the third is actually write-offs. Now, you'll want to have these write-offs, and a lot of write-offs are travel, education, business expenses. But that will help you recoup some of the costs that you've incurred over the year when tax time comes. Now, the second thing you'll want to track is, of course, the fun part, your income. Now, I can't emphasize once again the importance of paying yourself. Too many people just think that they have to put all their money into their business. But you have to figure out what is the minimum that you need to live off of. And that's the amount that you'll need to be making. So, that minimum will come down to you figuring out whether you have a car loan, a student loan, a mortgage. What are all the things that you absolutely have to pay for? And then maybe you cut some corners and say, you don't need some of the luxury items as you're getting your business off the ground. But figure out that minimum. Now, let's say, for example, your minimum is about $2,000. Well, you'll then need to go on to figuring out what's the price point and the number of customers you'll need to service in a given month to make that $2,000 a month. There are two ways you can approach this. Let's take a very basic case. Let's say $2,000 is that minimum. Now, you can either hit that minimum by servicing 20 people and charging them $100 a month, or you can service 200 people and charge them $10 a month. You'll have to figure out which scheme works for you and which you think is sustainable. A lot of times, it's all right to start off at a higher price point and then work your way down. But you'll have to, of course, make sure that you're comfortable and your customers are comfortable. So don't unnecessarily discount your services. We'll get into that a little bit later. So once you've figured out your monthly minimum that you need to hit, you'll then need to figure out the price points to get to that minimum. Now, the third area I'm going to talk about is, of course, how are we going to track all of this wonderful information? Well, the most basic tool that you can use is a spreadsheet. A lot of people like using Excel. So if you find that you're comfortable using Excel, go ahead and do this. But make sure that you're tracking everything on a daily, weekly, and a monthly level when you're getting started. This is just a good practice to get in the habit of. As you've got your system humming along, you won't need to look at it every day and even every week. A lot of people after about 3 months just need to look at their finances every month. That's about it. Now, another system you can use is a plug to my old company, Mint.com. Mint lets you, for free, track all of your income and your expenses. You'll just have to go to Mint.com, sign up, and then connect to your banks and credit cards. And then you'll get a good idea of how much money you're spending and how much money you're making. It'll categorize all your transactions automatically for you and save you tons of time. You can also try to use a bookkeeper. A lot of people like using a bookkeeper, but initially you might not be able to afford one. They're not too pricey. Some of them range from $30 to $100 a month. Just depends on the area that you're in. But if you find that you really don't want to track finances and you've got a little extra cash, then I would recommend getting one, especially if you want somebody who's going to keep up with you every month and then at the end of the year make filing your taxes a cinch. Now, the fourth tool that people like to use are QuickBooks. If you're not particularly financially savvy, I wouldn't recommend using QuickBooks. It can be pretty difficult to understand and the learning curve is quite steep. But if you've got a financial background, by all means, give it a shot. Now, the fifth, of course, is if you want to try a product like BizeeBee, we will keep track of all of your purchases and all of your customers and give you an idea of how well you're doing every month. But that's up to you, and we would love to service you. So, just to recap, remember, you're going to want to set up a system in place to keep you sane. And that first system needs to be your financial system. To set that up, you'll want to make sure that you separate your personal finances from your business finances. Then you'll want to keep track of your expenses and your income. And then the third, of course, is you'll want to have a good tool that you feel comfortable using on a daily and weekly basis as you're getting your business off the ground. So that's it for this week's episode of Sustainable Studios series. Stay tuned for next week while I'll explore the second system, which is your marketing system. Thanks, and we hope you have a great day.